Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Arsenal X, the Xbox podcast here on the Boss Rush Network. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deering, and alongside me, as always, is the joy of the XPcast and my favorite co-host on the Citadel, Stoy Jovic.
Hello.
Hello.
Do you ever drink beer?
No, not really.
No? Okay. Something about IPAs and having crazy artwork on their cans. It's kind of a weird staple.
Yeah. Because
IPAs, you either love them or hate them, right?
It's true.
Like, some people are like, oh, man, it tastes too hoppy and it's gross and disgusting. It tastes like armpit. And then sometimes it's like, you drink it and you're like, oh, I can taste the aroma and the mouthfeel and the citrus aftertaste and all this stuff, whatever. You got these snobs out there.
It's true.
But the one thing IPA's got is really cool artwork on the can. So
yeah, they usually do. Do, especially if they're like local kind of things or like independent.
Josh from our podcast told us that it's like they do a terrible job designing a good recipe, but they put all their money into the artwork on the can to make you buy it. Yep, they do. Because you go into a I don't know if you guys have a Total Wine by you guys. It's like a kind of like a Walmart for alcohol. Yeah, naturally it makes sense for us in Wisconsin here, but yeah, like you go down the craft beer aisle and it's all like fancy ass logos and artwork and designs and art and just like, so then you kind of look at it and like, oh, which one looks cooler? Yeah. That's
there's a grocery store that we have called Giant Eagle, and it usually has all that kind of. There's like a whole row of just like, trippy can artwork, and you're like, oh, just base your choice off of that, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Sometimes you may get burnt though.
Yeah.
So, just look at the IBUs.
And then they have the ones that are like multi packs where like it's like a 6-pack, but each can is different.
Yeah. We talk about collecting and how we collect video games. You collect systems and controllers and stuff like that. There's people out there that probably collect beer cans.
I'm sure there are. Well, I remember back in the day, people used to collect special edition pop cans, and they wouldn't open them. And the way they would do that would be drill a tiny hole in the bottom to empty it, and then they would drink it and save the can.
Yeah. We had I think we had one of our local breweries here brewed a beer called Fuck COVID right when the shutdowns began. And it was like just kind of easy drinking lager or whatever, but like on the cover of the can they kind of spelled the F word like a little bit differently. But actually one of my coworkers actually gave me that can. Shows up at work, we're talking the hospital. Shows up at work with a beer can with the bottom punched out, emptied. He's like, "Here, I did these for my friends, so I'm giving one to you too because I know you like beer." And I'm like, "That's cool."
Yeah. Well,
so it was always a kind of running joke when I'm changing at work or something like that, and a beer can falls out of my locker, and I'm like, "Whoops, put that there."
We'll just leave that right there, and
no one saw that, right?
Nobody saw it. I promise.
Yep. Let's go do healthcare.
Yeah. Well, in the last year, I bet everybody in healthcare needs at least one beer. Let's be honest.
Yeah, no kidding, man. No kidding, man. It's like every day is like so different. Yeah. I'm at school full time, so I don't have to deal with that. But yeah, man, every day was different. Every day was some new change, some new policy, some new movement, some new this, some new that. We can't get this, we can't get that. It's like every day was different.
Yeah, it's rough out there. Sorry, everybody.
It'd be like that, though. It'd be like that.
It's true. It's very, very true, sir.
Yep.
Very true.
Because when it be like that, it be like that.
You know what else be like that, Stoy?
What else be like that?
I'm starting to have a really hard time recommending the Xbox Series S to any serious gamer.
Yeah, I think I'm going to agree with you here, at least from what I'm. Go for it.
Yeah, because so I saw that Dying Light, the max it is 1080 30, I think, is on the Series S, which, okay, yeah, I kind of started figuring that third parties would not optimize the games, right? And but man, I was playing Destiny on my Series X last night, or 2 nights ago, and I'm like, man, this game looks great. It still looks great. This engine has been running since the Xbox 360, really, since Halo Reach, because it's still, God, I can't believe this engine is still like a variation of the Halo Reach engine.
Right.
But I'm like, man, this game looks great. Like, the textures look amazing. Like, even the grass and the rock formations and the textures on the guns, it just all looks really good. And then I turn on my Series S. Don't get me wrong, still plays the same, right? Still 60 frames a second. Still looks pretty good, but I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, these textures look fuzzy. There's no like grass on the ground, it's just like a green texture. These rocks, they're just like rocks. You know, they're not like smooth pebbles that stick out of the ground, you know, that you feel like you could skip across water.
Yeah.
Some of the particle effects are missing. I'm like, man, I'm just having a really hard time recommending this box to anybody who's like super serious about playing games, especially if the Xbox is going to be your primary system, you know?
Yeah. And you want the best of the best. You know, the Series S isn't going to be it for you.
Yeah.
I think I was talking about this. I talked about this with Josh on our podcast, how if you own an Xbox One X, a Series S, with the exception of the, I think, higher CPU, which adds more frame rate, and the SSD drive, the Xbox One X is still the superior system.
Yeah, especially when you add a SSD to it.
Yeah.
Like, did you got that from the Digital Foundry video?
Yeah, and I was like shocked that they were showing side-by-side comparison videos of like, this is what Far Cry 6 resolution looks like on the One X versus the Series S. And
did you watch the Forza one?
Yes.
Oh my God, Forza looks better on the Xbox One X.
I know.
By
far. The
far.
majority of the games that they talked about on there looked better on the One X, especially. Actually, some of the Xbox One games look better on an Xbox One S, on an Xbox One X, than they do on the Xbox Series S.
Well,
I
remember
that came out a couple years ago.
I remember their big thing with the backwards compatibility stuff, at least on the Series S, is that it would give you Xbox One S versions of the game.
Yeah,
which is like, oh, that's your first like check, you know, like meh, whatever.
Yeah,
and I'm like, well, if I'm going to start streaming again, it'll be a nice little streaming box. You know, I can stream Halo and Destiny and, you know, whatever else we feel like playing at some point, right? And, like, it's not a big deal, but, like, man, I feel so bad if somebody got this as their primary box and, like, they're at all thinking about using this as their primary box. It's just, like, I'm so sorry.
I know, really. It kind of, like, for you, it's a good second system to have. Like, if this is your backup just in case, or like, yeah, you want to stream and this is your streaming box, like, perfect. It's great. You know, you don't have to fiddle around with, like, you know, flopping disks or anything like that. And if you're streaming in 1080p anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, my capture card only is 1080p 60 is the limit. So,
yeah.
And even if you have, like, if I hooked my Xbox Series X up to it, the limit on the Series X would still only be 1080p, even going to the TV, because there's no pass through.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is that box, but I'm just like, there's just some things that just look off compared to even the One X, you know, like, I appreciate the load times and the frame rate, especially in shooters, but man, the textures are not, they're not great.
Yeah, the textures and the resolution are definitely big differences. And sometimes it's, I'm amazed at playing games like Dying Light 2 and seeing the draw distance.
Yeah. Playing
it on a Series X, it's like you can see for miles in picture perfect clarity. And I know for a fact it's not like that on previous gen hardware.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's not like that way at all on a Series S.
Yeah. Man, I I like the box. I like the design, and I think it's a great box. And like some third parties have optimized it, right? Like that was my big problem with Guardians of the Galaxy when it came out. Was like I wanted to record a little bit of it, but I'm not recording a 900p 30 frames a second version of that game. I might as well just plug in my Xbox One and run it at 30 frames and at least get 1080p out of it. But like 2 months later, they patched it. I'm like, well, most people have already finished this game because it's so short,
Yeah, the fact that it takes so long for updates to happen, you kind of miss the mark on that. That's why I'm kind of worried about the upgrade to Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
A lot of people have kind of forgotten about that game.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of people who finish it also wish they could forget about that game.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. I mean, I played Cyberpunk on my Xbox Series X, the Xbox One version, and it was fine. Like it ran fine. It was okay. But
I had a few game breaking glitches, and I was like, I'm going to wait for the updates to roll out, and then I was kind of like, okay, well, I'm going to wait for the upgrade version, the Series X upgrade and the PS5 upgrade. But then now I was like waiting so long to the point I just forgot about it and moved on.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I like it, but when I move into my new office, I'm probably going to move my Series X in there and, have just one HDMI hooked up to a capture card and one hooked up to the TV just so I can swap them in and out.
Okay.
And maybe put my Series S in the living room just to have it in there. It's just, I don't know. It kind of bums me out when I'm sitting in here editing and I'm like, oh, I want to go play some Destiny or play some Halo and turn it on. It's like, oh, man, this game looks so much better.
Yeah. Yikes. Yeah. I mean, I kind of think maybe Xbox missed the mark. They wanted a second system, but they didn't want to spend a lot of money.
I mean, even if they would have spent a little bit of extra money and sold it at $349.
Yeah.
And just gave it that little extra boost. I mean, it's just, man, I don't know. I've complained enough about it today, but it's just like, I'm looking at my Destiny character right now, and there's so the gauntlets have little arm straps on them, right? They're like pixelated instead of like smooth like bump mapping that Xbox is usually known for, right? Like just that smooth. Yeah. And it's just like, and there's little pixels just like, oh, can't quite sharpen that up. And I'm like, oh god, it's just, stop, just stop. You tried, I appreciate it, but we're done here.
Your 1S is like, I'm trying as best as I can.
I know. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. Anyways, I think that's enough complaining for now, though.
It's a tough sell. I mean, if you're not like, some people can't really see the difference.
I know.
Which is a friend of mine actually shared on Twitter. He says he can't tell the difference between 30 and 60 frames a second, which is asinine to me because I just recently played Uncharted.
Yeah.
The PS5 upgrade.
Yeah.
And I could tell a difference like within 2 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, you could definitely tell. There's a lot of people that say they can't tell until they play a game in 60 frames, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, what was I doing with my life?"
No, same. Like, what was I doing before 60 frames a second? What was I doing before like extremely fast load times? I mean, shit. I remember like putting on a game like a big open world game and just like hitting continue and then just sitting for 2 minutes, like just dorking around on my phone. It's like now I do that. I hit continue. I dork around my phone for 5 seconds, and I'm like, oh, shit, the game's already loaded.
Yeah. I don't know. It just really bummed me out sometimes to see like what. I don't know.
Could you see Xbox maybe doing another kind of soft upgrade?
Oh yeah.
In the future,
there's going to be a point. I bet there's like a digital version of the Xbox Series X when this chip shortage is over.
Yeah, and I could see them doing that.
Yeah, and that'll be like the $400 box, right? They'll have 3 SKUs at some point.
Yeah, they'll kind of like phase out the 1S or the Series S.
Yeah,
and then just kind of dedicate all hardware to like the
Well, at some point, probably in like 3 or 4 years, or probably, God, the box has been out for a year already. The Series X will probably be the Series S box, and then they'll have another box out that'll be like the One X version of the Series X.
Man, I can't keep this straight.
I know there's too many. You know what? It's okay. I have a Series X. I love it. It's my main. It's my go-to box.
Yep.
And also, by the way, kind of side tangent, but not really. Going from an Xbox Series X to a Switch to play games, it's just silly. I mean, I get it. Like, look, I love Nintendo. I love my Switch, right? I mean, our whole network is built on the foundation of Nintendo Power Block, right? But
yeah,
man, I was convinced to get Pokemon Legends Arceus, and that game is so ugly. It's so ugly.
Yeah.
Like, the Pokemon look great, right? And like the character models are like serviceable, but that game.
I heard they're reused assets. We're talking sound assets, graphics assets from like past games.
Oh, you mean a Nintendo game?
Yeah, like
whoa.
I think from other Pokemon games. At least that's what, because we were talking about it on the EXP cast this morning. Like, Dan played it, and he was like, he's more of a Pokemon fan, so he's like, they reused all the old shit from like a lot of the older games, and I'm like, hey, I recognize that sound, or hey, it's the same texture, or it's just.
Well, I know a lot of people got mad that what were the first two? Sword and Shield.
Sword and Shield, yeah.
Reused a lot of the sounds from the 3DS games.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, they're not going to sound different. So why would you waste
I wouldn't expect it to. I mean, if you're going to be remastering a game.
Yeah, but those sounds are recorded in like, HD audio, and then they compress it for the 3DS, right? I mean, those original files are still stored. And so, I remember a lot of people were mad about that. And then in Let's Go, they used new assets for the Pokemon, like new character assets. Oh, God, what's happening?
Mm-hmm. Jeez.
Yeah, I'm just going to turn this off real quick. And people loved it because they used, oh man, the Pokemon look great. They have great shadows. They animate really well. And then, what was it? The game after Let's Go. What one just came out? The remake that just came out, I think.
I think that was Sword and Shield, wasn't it?
I don't know. I can't.
Was it Ultimate in Pearl or something like that? I don't know.
I can't keep any of this.
You're asking the wrong guy.
Anyways, people were mad that they used the ones from like updated assets from like the 3DS and Sword and Shield versions instead of the Let's Go versions, and it just like became this whole thing. So anyways, I'm just like, they're not going to look different, guys. It's fine. It's Nintendo. Just they can use their money elsewhere,
Well, hey, it sold 6 million units, so they're laughing all the way to the bank.
Right? Yeah. Man. So I don't know.
But I mean, it kind of goes to show fancy tech, and fancy graphics, fancy sound design, whatever, it doesn't necessarily sell a game. Mm-hmm. Like, the game I hear is hugely enjoyable, hugely fun, amazing to kind of roam around.
Yeah, and it is. It's basically
overworld, but people are having fun with it, and that's kind of what's getting people to buy the game and keep playing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like Breath of the Wild almost, in a way. I mean, it's got hub areas instead of like a big open map, but it's that first step into that type of game that everybody wanted, and Game Freak has never really made a full-on 3D console game before, so...
Yeah, especially one that's open world.
Yeah. So, I mean, this is a good first step, I think. But, like, back to your... Shout out to Chub Life Nick in the chat, by the way, from WASD and beyond.
What's up, Chub?
Woo! But, I mean, say what you will. Like, I mean, look how great, like, all these games for Series X and PlayStation 5 look. And they celebrate when they hit like 5 or 8 million copies, and Nintendo's laughing at this re-release of Mario Kart selling 44 million copies. It's pretty much $60 a pop,
Yeah.
And not counting digital sales either, which is hilarious because, like, I guess Nintendo doesn't know how to track digital sales now or something. But
yeah, they never show their numbers on that. It's weird.
No. I mean, you think about that, like, I guess Nintendo fans are the biggest physical collectors, you would say, I'm assuming. But, like, 44 million physical copies of Mario Kart out there, 37 million Animal Crossing. It's just like IP or the IP, it doesn't matter, like you said, about tech or fanciest graphics or the hardware that's inside. It's about the games, right? And Nintendo clearly has the games everybody loves, and I mean, like you said, they're laughing all the way to the bank.
Mm-hmm.
Still. Miyamoto's counting his coins.
Yeah. Stomping on Toto shells.
Oh, man. Anyways, we're not Nintendo Power Block. We'll stop that nonsense. That's tomorrow night, everybody. So we're here to talk about Xbox. Yes.
See.
Yes. This is Arsenal X, the Xbox podcast. In case you're this is your first time, if you clicked on us thinking we're a soccer podcast, I'm sorry about that. We've had internal discussions about
Follow another team.
Yeah.
Follow a different team besides Arsenal. I mean, they're hitting good form as of late, but you should probably follow another team still.
We've had internal discussions about the name. Anyways. We're part of the Boss Rush Network. You can catch us live on Twitch every Sunday night.
Shout out to Chubb.
Yeah.
Being a Red. Being a Liverpool fan. You never walk alone, my friend.
I miss Nick. I want him on here sometime soon. He's obviously available if he's watching us.
Clearly he's available right now.
I know. Right now, he's here. He's available. Yeah. Fuck Columbus Crew. Ooh, boy, that's close to home, guy. I don't care about soccer. You can make fun of them all you want. Where was I? Oh, every Sunday night on Twitch, podcast services, YouTube every Tuesday morning, on our website, bossrush.net. If you listen on iTunes, Spotify, leave us a 5-star rating. Subscribe, share, rate, review, all that stuff. Buy our Arsenal X merch on the Boss Rush store. That's all I have to say. I'm not going through all of it right now. We're going to jump into what we've been playing. Stoy, what are you playing?
I beat Uncharted 4 on the PlayStation 5 upgrade. And it's nice if you own the previous copy of Uncharted 4, you get a $10 upgrade, and you get the $10 upgrade applies to both that and the Lost Legacy DLC, which I didn't know that. I thought it was $10 for each because I was like, screw you guys for like charging me $10, like instead of paying $50 for the disc version or just the straight game, whatever. But yeah, it includes both, and it launches off of one hub, which is really nice. So you don't have to like click over to Lost Legacy or click over to. All you got to do is put the Uncharted 4 disc in, and then you get the Lost Legacy, which is strange to me because I was under the impression that you needed the Lost Legacy disc to play Lost Legacy, but So whatever.
Well,
anyway,
the way Uncharted 4 it came with a season pass, which gave you a bunch of multiplayer stuff and the expansion, which is Lost Legacy.
I don't think Lost Legacy. I thought that was its own separate game.
Well, people who bought the expansion pass for Uncharted 4, it was supposed to be an expansion to Uncharted 4, but the project grew too big. But so many people had already bought the expansion pass, so they're like, you know what, we'll just give it to you anyway. But if you're going to buy it separate, it's $40. And they actually had like a cutoff date to when you could buy the expansion pass.
Oh, okay.
And I think it was $24.99.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I never played the multiplayer. So.
Yeah, I didn't either. Nobody did. Who does, right? I mean,
yeah.
Remember when Tomb Raider had a multiplayer game? Jokes.
When?
The reboot, the first reboot game had a
multiplayer. Yeah. No one.
And there were achievements tied to it.
Yeah, that I hate when they do.
Like half of them. And one of them was like become a legendary raider or something, and like nobody played the multiplayer long enough to even come close to that.
It's like you don't need those are during the days where like multiplayer was tacked on because they were trying to cash in on that. service. But anyway, so yeah, that game looks amazing. I mean, it looked amazing before, and just looks even more amazing now, playing it on a PlayStation 5 and just smooth frame rate, 60 frames a second, upscaled 4K, like just oh man, it looks so good.
Yeah.
And I was even talking today about I'm looking at Nathan Drake all hungry now, like hungry eyes, because I'm like, he's got this blue button-up shirt, 3 buttons, shirt. And like and the 2 of them are like kind of unbuttoned and it's folded over to the side, and you see a little bit of his chest, and it's like, oh man,
you getting thirsty for Drake there?
I was getting thirsty for Drake. There was scenes of like, he's got like a vein in his biceps that's popping up now, and this glorious cut scenes that I can see now. It's like, ooh, man. Anyway, it's good. It's good. And I played it all the way through. I mean, probably one of the best games that have come out on the PlayStation 4 at the time.
I agree. I think, and so I have the opinion that Uncharted 4 is too long.
It is pretty long. I'll agree.
But Lost Legacy is like my favorite of the series. I'm not even going to joke with you. It's so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a really good length. And I think it proved that the Uncharted series can go beyond Nathan Drake, which I hope it does. I really hope Naughty Dog's actually working on that other one. Yeah,
so I do too. Well, what's the rumor? The rumor is that it was Bend, but then they didn't want to do it. So somebody's working on Uncharted, the next Uncharted, though. Anyways, continue. Sorry.
Otherwise, I've been playing Dying Light 2. Been kind of getting some time in on that this weekend. Not as much as I'd like to, because I've been hearing so many people like logging in like 10, 12 hours in this game over the weekend. And I'm like, I had other things I was doing this weekend, so I was like, I barely got it in any time compared to those people, but I've been thoroughly enjoying it so far. Like, the first like 45 minutes is singular based, where like you're kind of going only one way. And then once you actually get into the city of Villanova or Villeneuve or whatever, I feel like it's French, but you get to the city that's like walled off, and everybody lives in this city, but like they're still like zombies. They're still infected in this city, and you have to kind of manage both, all while trying to either serve the people or serve the peacekeepers. Because you got the survivors that are just out there trying to live, and you got the peacekeepers that are like, we need to maintain order, we need to maintain some discipline here. So you're trying to kind of navigate both, and then there's people in the middle of just, you got bandits that are trying to kind of like fuck people over every chance they get, and you got other people that like, you're some new guy that shows up and no one trusts you, so you got to kind of, it's the typical open world gameplay trope of just like, well, I got to prove to these people that I actually mean well. And you do these side quests. So the one thing Techland does really well is like parkour and fast moving. Like it's so good. Yeah. The traversal on the rooftops, the climbing, the jumping, the rolling, and all the other kind of acrobatics you could do. Like, so fun to just kind of get into a groove. But this city is so chocked full of side quests that it's like you'll be running and all of a sudden something will pop up right in front of you, like, hey, here's a quest. Hey, here's the thing. Hey, here's the person in trouble. Hey, your actual objective that you were supposed to go to was 200 yards back that way because you completely missed it, so now you got to go back. So there's so many distractions in this game, like you can't even keep it all straight. Like sometimes you forget, like, where was I going? What was I doing? Oh yeah. So but it's all like great content. Like the stories, the writing in this game is pretty amazing. Like very, very emotional writing, very emotional acting.
Cool.
And it's a very diverse cast. So like it's weird because like you think you're in a French town. They just say you're in a European city. And you see people talking in French, French accents, whatever.
Of course.
You'll see somebody talking in an Australian accent, and then all of a sudden, like, you get these bandits that are like southern country bumpkin people. They're like, "Hey, what are you doing over there? Let's get them." It's like,
right.
I was just talking to a guy with a French accent, and then a German guy, and then now I got some like hodunk Alabama boy chasing after me. And those bandits are fucking annoying.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you're just trying to kind of run across the rooftop, minding your own business, and some bandit 20 yards back is like still chasing you because he's like, I don't like the way that guy's doing it. Get him.
Get him.
Get him. It's like, just, I didn't even touch you or acknowledge you. Leave me alone. But
leave me alone.
So yeah, but I mean, the game is so much fun. There's so much content, so much to do, and just side quests are good. Characters are good. Story is good so far. Like you're in this city trying to find your sister, and you have to kind of befriend some bad people to kind of get to where you're going. And there's obviously kind of like a backstory to it.
Yeah.
So
that's cool. Are you?
But
are you gonna play all 500 hours of it?
No.
Are you sure? You don't want to see every blade of grass?
No. And I don't want to see every little possible change in the story or change in the way the world builds. Because I think that's why they kind of delayed it, because they were promising some pretty big things.
Yeah,
they were promising like some pretty big world building events that would happen based on your decisions, and I think they got too big for their britches.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I kind of read some of the reviews going around. I'm not interested in this game. I didn't play the first one. It's just one of those games that I'm just not interested in. I mean, like, I think the concept is interesting, and I actually hear that this is less about the zombies and more about, other things. People.
Yeah.
Which is way more interesting to me than, just another, like, oh my gosh, this is The Walking Dead, but not really,
Yeah. Who really are the Walking Dead?
Yeah, right. Who's the real villain here?
Yeah.
But, I'm not. It's just one of those games I'm not interested in. Although I hear Rosario Dawson is in it.
Mm-hmm.
Selling point.
I haven't encountered her yet.
Ah.
But your main character, the character you play as, his name is Aiden. Could have sworn he was Nolan North. Sounds just like him in certain lines, but he's like a mix of him and who's the guy that played Chris Redfield and Sonic the Hedgehog? What was his name? Because he was the main character in Dying Light, the first one.
You said Sonic the Hedgehog, and my mind immediately went to Ben Schwartz.
No, not that one. Nope. He was one of the OG voice actors for.
Yeah, let me see. I'm looking it up. Was it Jason
Roger Craig
Griffith?
Smith? Roger Craig Smith. I knew it would start with an R though.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Man. Yeah. Cool. I'm glad someone's playing Dying Light.
Yeah. I haven't encountered any of these glitches that people have had. I've had issues maybe jumping sometimes with clipping into a wall and clipping out of a wall.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only major thing. I haven't encountered any sound glitches or, game breaking glitches or anything like that. But,
Yeah. Neat.
The game is fun. It's playable. It's in good condition. Graphics look great. Movement is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm playing on a Series X, so the load time is just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, everything I've seen, it looks like it runs great. It looks like it's what people want from this game. I'm happy that it kind of turned out the way I think people who are at least fans of the game, the first game, got what they wanted. So.
Yeah, I mean, it took them 8 years to make it.
Yeah,
but we got it, and it's good.
No kidding. Well, they did have to rewrite it because their writer got Me Too'd or whatever, so they had to rewrite the entire game or something. But
yeah, and like I was saying earlier, they kind of promised a little bit too much. So
I mean, that's every game though. Those Polish developers, man, just can't overpromise everything.
Yep. I don't know what it is about you guys,
except for The Witcher 3. Although a lot of people kind of forget that game was kind of
that game
hot
was broken
trash
on launch
when it came out. So.
Yep.
So,
what have you been playing?
I have been playing Destiny 2 because the Witch Queen comes out in 3 weeks, and I am underprepared. And so,
do you need to be a certain level, light level, to
well
play it? Or
here's the thing. They're raising everybody to they're raising the floor of the light level to 1350. So no matter what your light level is, like if you're 1100 going into the Witch Queen, you're automatically raised to 1350.
Oh,
it's
okay.
like I don't know. There's like this big thing within Destiny right now. It's like, the community's like, oh, why even have light level anymore? You might as well just like take it off because everybody's, trying to it just doesn't matter every time a new expansion comes out. It's like, it's to get new people in, guys. You're already
really
like the cap right now is 13. What's the cap right now? Like 1370, I think right now. With the artifact, so I guess 1355, maybe 1360. And like a lot of people are already there, right? Like if you've been playing forever, you're already there. You know how to do your pinnacles. You have a raid group, you have a dungeon group, right? Like it's just people just like to complain,
Yeah.
And they're raising the soft cap to 1500 and the hard cap to 1550, I think, and then the artifact cap to 50. Like I'm trying to do math real quick. I think like they're taking the cap off of the artifact, which used to be 10 light level. They're taking the cap off, so you can potentially gain an extra 30 points. So I guess the artifact cap is 1580. So it's they're doing a lot of big changes though. They're going full RPG this time. They're changing the way subclasses work. You have weapon crafting, where
I heard about that.
You can take a weapon in and choose like your frame, which is like stability, recoil, whatever, and go in and like start building your own weapons, which is really cool. And a lot of people think that that's going to lead to armor down the road, which would be really, really cool. And they're changing the way that a lot of the game works to try to get new people in. And I'm like, this is not the time to be getting new people in. This is, I'd say everything from Beyond Light to the final shape, these 4 expansions is like, it's weird because like there's so much content that if I'm going to tell you, if you're not in Destiny, if you haven't gotten into Destiny now, there's no reason to get into it. If you're into it for the story, there's no reason to get into it because the content vaulting, right? They're taking the most important expansion out of the game. So like you have no idea, like people who have jumped in with Destiny 2 now have no idea who Cade 6 is, right? Like Destiny 1 fan favorite. He's probably the best character they ever created up to that point. Forsaken is like, spoilers for Forsaken, but it's the whole marketing thing for the game. Cade gets murdered by Aldrin Sov, who's the Awoken Prince, and he raises an army of Fallen called the Scorn, and you kind of go on a mission to take him out, right? It's like an assassination mission. The whole campaign is like a tracking and assassination mission. And he comes back as a guardian called the Crow, and he's actually one of the most compelling characters now. He's actually a really great written character because he goes through this transition of he's the only guardian that we know about his previous life before he was resurrected as a guardian. And so everybody remembers he killed Cade, but he does not know that he killed Cade because once you get resurrected, your memory of your previous life is gone. Like you just don't remember.
Oh, okay.
But everybody else remembers. And so like there's this whole transition of like people learning how to trust him as a character. And that whole transition was really interesting. But you only get that in the seasonal storylines, which go away when the next expansion comes out. So like this whole like Forsaken and Shadowkeep, like if you didn't play the seasonal stuff, you don't get that stuff. You don't see him get resurrected. You don't see him go through that transition to become the Crow. And then when Beyond Light goes away, you don't see that transition of him being accepted by the Guardians. So what's
the logic in taking all that stuff away? I mean, just to push new content.
To push new content and to keep the file size small is their kind of thing. But
I suppose that's the one bad thing about games as a service.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the more content that gets released, the bigger your download.
Mm-hmm. But the thing is like games are so compartmentalized now, where you can download a campaign and the multiplayer separate. You can download certain things, and like a lot of the fan base is trying to convince Bungie to like at least re-release the campaign stuff and like let us delete it when we're done playing it,
Mm-hmm.
And then it turns out it came out that they switched everything over to a new engine, and they've been prioritizing content for the new engine. And we're like, oh, okay, well, that means content vaulting. Maybe they'll take out some maps and replace some multiplayer maps. Maybe they'll take out some strikes and put in new ones, whatever. That's the kind of stuff we expect to be vaulted from here on out. And then they announced that they were removing Forsaken, which is such an important campaign. It's their best campaign since The Taken King in Destiny 1. It's seriously their best campaign. And it's like, well, now everybody's going to miss that great story. And I don't know. It's just... it's really hard to recommend Destiny now, especially maybe you didn't play Forsaken, which is okay, whatever, that's fine. Like, it's a cool story, but maybe you didn't play that. Maybe you didn't play Shadowkeep. Okay, it's a dumb, we're going back to the moon because there's a haunted section of the moon. Whatever, it's fine. Eris is dumb. Mm-hmm. But Beyond Light, like with Beyond Light, Beyond Light seasonal content turned into like chapters of a story. Like they changed the way they did seasons, and so each season is like a really compelling chapter of the narrative. And when Witch Queen comes out, all of these awesome stories that they've told over the last year and some change are just going away because they're taking the seasons out to make room for the Witch Queen's seasonal content. So, I mean, if you want, if you made Destiny your full-time job, maybe you could get through the campaigns in the seasonal content. But like, I don't know. It's going to be so hard to catch up story-wise.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
And like this season of The Lost, which is going on right now, is like so integral to what's going to happen in the Witch Queen. And like the resurrection of Savathun, which is like the big bad of the next campaign, and what's happening with her sister Xivu Arath, and what's hunting Xivu Arath and Savathun, right? Which is like the new bad guys that everybody's predicting is called the Veil, and they've been rumored since Destiny 1, and they're really the ones behind the darkness. And it's just like, man, there is so much to keep up with. I run a Destiny podcast, and I struggle to keep up with all of it. So, but yeah, I played a lot of Destiny this week to get back to.
Yeah, and you thought about a lot of Destiny.
I think about Destiny constantly. It's like it's that comfort game,
Yeah, I feel you.
Also, I recorded 7 podcasts last week, so I didn't really have a lot of time to play games.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to keep everything ahead, and so. Everybody's going to have a week off soon, though. That's the idea. Just like everybody needs a week off, just a breather. Take it. Relax. I also played a lot of Metroid Dread. I'm trying to finish that up, too. And like I feel like I keep playing it, and I feel like I've spent a lot more time in that game than I should have, but that game makes me feel really dumb. Because I don't play a lot of Metroidvania games. Mostly because I don't really like them because they make me feel dumb.
Yeah.
This one makes me feel
because there's honestly no direction in a lot of those. Like there's no like follow the checkpoint or follow this or follow that. A lot of times you wander aimlessly trying to find your way.
Yeah. And so I am like trying to find my way through this game, and this one's a lot easier to follow, I guess you would say. It's like put together really well to know where you're going, but still feel like banging my head against the wall sometimes. And then like there's this one point where like there's this platform that was an elevator, and I didn't know this platform was an elevator.
Yeah, I remember you talking about that.
I just kept running past it, and I was like, God, man, this is. Yeah. Anyways, so that's kind of what I've been playing. What else did I play? Oh, I play a little bit of Pokemon Legends, which is it's cool. I think I'm gonna really like that game as someone who hasn't really played a lot of Pokemon since the '90s, to be honest. I think Pokemon Silver was the last time I really got into it. I mean, I dabbled here and there, but it's just like once the monster count gets that high, and my priorities of life start stacking up. Do you know there's like 900 monsters now?
908.
Jesus, why?
I don't know why. It's like with every generation, they keep adding a ton more.
I know.
Good Lord.
Just stop.
Yeah.
Like, just stop. I think there's only 200 in this one, though. So.
Oh, okay.
But they're numbered still the same. So
yeah, they are. Yeah, if you go on the Pokemon Wikipedia, there's the whole list of them all and what generation they belong in, and it's a little bit of a backstory.
Yeah, man, Pokemon's weird.
Yes, they are.
I'm like, look, I like Charizard because I started with the Charmander, and I like a few others. But man, do you know there's an ice cream cone and a trash bag and a chandelier? They're just getting weird with this stuff, man.
No, I heard about a particular Pokemon called... God, I forget what the... I'm trying to go to the Wikipedia page. Yeah, there it is. It's called Drifloon. And apparently this is a Pokemon that looks like a balloon. And what this Drifloon does is it entices little kids to grab the Pokemon thinking, oh, this is a balloon. And once the kid grabs onto them, it lifts the kid away and kidnaps them. Yeah. And then I imagine apparently eats or kills these kids because apparently part of the other lore. Yeah, part of the lore is that it emits a gas. And that gas is apparently the gases from the remnants of the children that they ate. Oh. That's freaking dark.
That's
for Pokemon.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Man. Wow. That's
I don't know, man.
Pokemon are weird.
Right? Yes, they are.
They just keep getting weirder. I feel like everybody at the Pokemon company before they make new monsters, they're like, we're all gonna get really baked, and then we're just gonna go sit in a room and draw pictures, and these are the new Pokemon.
Yeah. And then we're gonna give them crazy names. Let's give this one a cool backstory.
Yeah.
Let's make it like kidnap kids. Like, is that pretty dark? Nah, it'd be cool.
Oh, by the way, he eats them. And that turns into the gas.
Yeah, when it dies, it's said that the gas it excretes is children's souls that it ate. What the hell?
Oh, it's so scary.
Yeah.
Man, good times.
Good times. Good Pokemon.
Good.
Good wholesome family game.
Yeah. Kids game, guys. This is a kids game.
Yep.
Kids game. Jesus. All right, Stoy. Did you pick anything up this week?
I got Simpsons Hit and Run for the Xbox.
Ooh.
My friend Josh was he acquired a large collection from a friend of his, and there was like a whole stack of Xbox regular old Xbox games. And he's like, yeah, I mean, out of all the stacks of games, he told me to pick a few. Like, I ended up actually scooping up Operation Raccoon City from
like a physical?
Yeah, a physical copy of it on the PS3. So I was like, oh, fucking take it. I don't care, whatever. I have it for Xbox anyway, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, I never had a copy of Simpsons Hit and Run ever, which was the weirdest thing. Because I was like, I looked at my collection and I was like, wait, I don't have it. So it's kind of weird because I have so many games that, but I always think I have a good idea of what I have.
Yeah.
And I looked and I was like, I don't have that game. That's weird. So yeah, I scooped that up. I actually scooped up the deluxe edition of Dying Light 2.
Ooh.
There's a problem with the cart with the case, man.
There's a problem with the case?
There's a problem with the case.
Is it a steel book?
It's a steel book. It's a steel book. Now, you know how for starters, for some reason Microsoft decided to put the disc on the left side of the case as opposed to the right side of the case.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, that is a physical thing for Xbox, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is kind of weird. So, and you know the spine of the disc, it's like the letters go from like bottom to top. So like you read it from the bottom to the top. Well, they screwed this up, this steelbook, because it reads from top to bottom. And like when I put it in the, when I put it on the shelf, it's like everything reads normally, and then all of a sudden you'll go to Dying Light 2 and it's like kind of reading the other way. Oh. So it's kind of messed up. And
that's messed up.
But the game comes to the sleeve, and the sleeve is the correct way.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm just leaving this. I guess I'm just leaving the sleeve on, just to kind of, alleviate my obsessiveness with the way my collection looks on my wall.
Oh, dude, that's so annoying.
Yeah, it really is. I don't like it.
Oh, that's so annoying.
I was annoyed. I remember when I got my Xbox One, I remember opening the discs, and I'm like, what the hell? Did they do this wrong? Did I get a faulty disc case? Yeah. And then once I started realizing all the discs are like that, I was like, what? Why?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember doing that with the Master Chief Collection when I got it for Christmas that year. Because I got that year for Christmas, I got the Assassin's Creed Xbox One bundle, and it came with digital codes. It didn't come with boxes, which at the time really annoyed me because I was like a huge collector back then. Mm-hmm. And then
why give me a disc? Why give me a case with no games in it?
Yeah. Whatever. And I had Assassin's Creed Black Flag on Wii U, so I ended up gifting the code to someone.
Mm-hmm.
But I got the Master Chief Collection disc, and I remember opening it up. I'm like, what is happening to this box? Did they just like flip it around? And I like actually tried to flip the box around, but then the Xbox logo's on the bottom, and I'm like, what is happening here? What am I like? I thought I was having a stroke. I was like, what is happening?
Yeah, I feel you.
Oh, man, that's.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting to come to that realization, because I looked at it and I was like, I don't think this is right. I was looking at the case and I'm like, I think this is backwards, and I put it on my shelf and I was like, no shit, it is.
Yeah.
So, whatever.
Yeah. You know what really annoys me though about the Xbox One cases is they never came up with like a complete design for it. Mm-hmm. So almost like you can tell like every 3 or 4 months the cases the boxes would change, especially for like exclusives where like Quantum Break said console exclusive to Xbox One, and then Gears would just say Xbox One exclusive, and then like Halo 5 came out and just said only on Xbox One. I'm like, pick one. Just pick one.
Well, yeah, like I think the Series X copies of games just say Xbox on them.
They do. Yeah.
But the Xbox One games say Xbox One.
Yeah. But then I have Gears Tactics, which is an Xbox Series X game, but it's for both. But then I have Halo Infinite, which has that nice little like white cutout, right? Like they're starting to do now, which is great. But like they don't line up together, and it really bothers me. Because like even the tops of the boxes where like Halo Infinite's like space between the paper and the top of the box is like, I don't know, like 1/4 of an inch, right? But then like Gears Tactics still has the Xbox One style boxes where it's like 3/4 of an inch and the paper is wrapped around. I'm like, oh my gosh, just please fix this.
Really, honestly, they just need to pick a design and just go with it. At the very least, Sony has it where it's like, we're just going to make it all white.
Yeah.
And that's how different we're going to make it. Jesus.
Yeah. Man. And it really bothered me when the PlayStation 3 did that too. Remember when they had the Spider-Man font?
Yep.
For a while, and like the first like 2 years, all the boxes had like the red thing with the the Spider-Man font, and then the boxes that move forward with the regular PlayStation font. And I was like, oh my gosh, what are you doing? And then like the very last year, all the PlayStation, or I guess it'd be like the last 2 years, PlayStation 3 had the blue boxes to match the Vita and the PlayStation 4, and it's like, what are you doing to me?
Yeah,
stop.
Well, it was like, when PlayStation 1 went to those big-ass plastic, boxes to just regular old CD disc cases.
Right.
Man, that was a change. Like, holy crap.
Yeah. Man. I still have Sega CD and Sega Saturn games that are...
Those cases go for a ton of money.
If they're in good condition. Mine will have cracks in them.
But if you find one with good condition, you could go on eBay and sell that shit for like, I was seeing like packs of 3 just blank cases for $70 on eBay.
Yeah.
Like, it's just asinine because it's hard. Like, if you go to like retro stores or like you go to these kind of conventions, people are just picking up like shitty sports titles just for the cases.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
And even the sports titles are going for like $30 because people know what they got.
Yeah.
And they know that people are going to want this.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
I have FIFA International like 93 or 94 for Sega CD. It's great. It's actually
you
not
could probably
great.
sell. You could probably sell that for like $30-$40
to you
just for the case itself. No, I already have FIFA for the Sega CD.
Yeah,
so.
I figured you probably have every FIFA game since like 1991.
No, I don't. I sell those ones right away. Actually, you know what? I have FIFA 22. I still haven't played it yet.
Well, it's coming to Game Pass in like a week and a half, so.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I picked up some games, Stoy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I completed my digital Splinter Cell collection with Chaos Theory, which I hear is the best one.
It is the best one.
Yeah, so I own them all digitally now.
I have a soft spot for Pandora Tomorrow because they had your commander or your whatever the guy's name was, Lambert, I think. They got a different voice actor for the second one, and he was the dude from the Allstate commercials.
Oh yeah, that guy's cool.
Yeah, he did a good job, but like all of a sudden they brought the original voice actor back for Chaos Theory, and I was like, oh man, I kind of missed the other guy.
Yeah. Well, I think it came out around the time where he was on 24 for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
Man, 24. Remember that show?
That was actually a really good show.
Oh. I watched the first season. I'm like, yeah, I'm really into this, and I stopped after the first season.
Yeah, I think I got through the third season when it started getting a little bit batshit.
Yeah.
I was like, I think I'm done.
Yeah. So I picked that up. I picked up Valkyria Chronicles 4 Complete Edition.
Ooh.
For those who don't know, it's like a mix between a third-person shooter and a strategy.
Real-time
RPG.
strategy, yeah.
Yeah. It's really good. I have it on Switch, but I'm like, what if I want to play it on my TV? And my Switch is in the office charging, you know? What do I do?
Yeah.
Plus, it runs at 60 frames in 4K on the series. On One X, I guess. So
on One X, yeah. Or Series X, or whatever.
Yeah. And then I got, you're going to be proud of me, Stoy. Are you ready?
Okay, yeah, go.
Resident Evil 3.
Oh, wow, the remake?
Mm-hmm.
I like that game.
I now have all of the Resident Evil games up to 7.
You don't even have Village yet?
No.
Oh, wow.
I don't have 7 either. It's on Game Pass.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'm like, I should probably play through these games. I'm interested enough in the lore.
Have you played the 2 remake at all, or?
The only Resident Evil game I've ever completed is the first remake. But I follow it. I lied. I completed Resident Evil 5.
Damn it! Come on, man.
I also like what I played of 6.
What is Resident Evil 5 anyway? Oh yeah, that's the one where they're in Africa. Sheva.
Sheva, yeah.
Sheva, yeah.
The worst AI partner of all time.
She was fine.
Yeah, if you had somebody else.
She was no Ashley from Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, also I bought Jet Set Radio Future.
Oh, nice.
I read an article on Pure Xbox on how to buy games that are backwards compatible, but you can't purchase them through the Xbox One or the Xbox Series X.
Yeah.
You have to type in like Xbox 360 Marketplace game title in Google, and it takes you to that page.
Okay.
And it was actually really
Wait,
awesome.
so like on your phone or on your computer, or literally
in a browser, any type of browser.
Any type of browser, okay.
Yeah, so if you type in like Jet Set Radio Xbox 360 Marketplace, it should be like the first link, and it takes you to like the old Marketplace.
Okay.
The old Xbox Marketplace, and you can buy that and the DLC if there's any for games that are backwards compatible, but not available to purchase. Okay. So that was cool. That was a cool backwards trick.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
Because I heard even if you fire up your old Xbox 360, you can, download it.
Yeah. But also, you know what I found out through Xbox 360? It doesn't recognize, if you have Game Pass Ultimate, it doesn't recognize that you have Xbox Live Gold. So you can't even sign, like it still thinks you have a silver account.
Huh.
At least on mine.
I haven't even checked.
Yeah. Because I was like, oh man, I have the Transformers games. I should probably, I want to download it and play it. So I got on the thing and it like wouldn't let me log into Xbox Live Gold. And it just kept telling me I had Xbox Live Silver.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I was like, nah, man. I have it down. I have Transformers downloaded. I have like all the Ninja Turtles arcade games and X-Men and Simpsons and all the games that I wish were backwards compatible but aren't. Army of Two, 40th Day I downloaded.
Oof.
Alpha Protocol.
That needs to... Sega, come on.
Come on.
Make it backwards compatible.
Phil.
You got Sega on speed dial. Come on, man.
You won't buy Sega, but you could buy the IP from them. Come on.
Yes.
God, how good would an Alpha Protocol be?
Imagine you could buy it for pretty cheap.
Yeah. Imagine how good an Alpha Protocol on today's tech would be.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Dude, so good.
Man, what a game. What a game, Stoy. What a game. Speaking of games, I guess we should probably get into this news since we're an hour in, huh?
Sure, yeah.
Probably.
What's happening?
Yeah, you know what happened? Another acquisition this week, Stoy.
Mm-hmm.
But not one for Xbox. But it affects Xbox players. In the right where it feels, right here.
Yeah. This kind of has a. If you know the history of Bungie, this does kind of hit in the feels.
Yeah. Sony has acquired Bungie for $3.6 billion. Acquisitions are all the rage these days, as Microsoft and Sony have both said they aren't done buying studios, which plays into our topic of the week, by the way. This past week, Sony struck back as they purchased the studio that created Halo and literally built the Xbox, Bungie. Good news for those who are fans of their games, however, as the Destiny studio will operate as a separate entity and all of their current and future projects will remain multi-platform. The deal seems to be more than just a simple acquisition, as Sony has the resources to allow Bungie to become a multimedia entertainment company, while Bungie has massive skill set for Sony to utilize as they expand into live service and multiplayer offerings.
I don't understand why Sony would spend this much money, but still allow Bungie for their future projects to be multi-platform. I don't buy that for a second.
This is a tech and future, like, because Jim Ryan came out and said that the reason why they bought Bungie was because they have 10 live service games in the works, and that and like Bungie already knows how to create a live service game, and they pretty much bought the time skip of how long it would take them to learn how to develop a live service game and kind of infuse like matchmaking and multiplayer style things into these live service games. And
hub areas, I imagine.
Yeah. And in return, they're going to offer, because Bungie came out over the summer and said they want to become like a multimedia entertainment company, expanding their IP into, shows and past comic books into like maybe novels and movies and stuff. And a lot of people have been wanting a Netflix Destiny anthology style thing. And,
it'd be cool to have like an anime, like a Destiny anime.
Yeah, that's what some people are really wanting.
Yeah,
almost in the vein of like Star Wars Visions on Disney Plus, where they like a different artist does a different episode. And so Sony has like Sony Pictures, and they have the Crunchyroll and Funimation. They own them, and Columbia TriStar for movies, and then they have that big Netflix contract too, where that 10-year, all their movies in the next 10 years are going to hit Netflix. And PlayStation Productions is a brand that's clearly developing video game IP into TV shows and movies. So I think Bungie saw that and that was like the one thing that Microsoft could not offer them. Because apparently Microsoft was in the running to buy them as well. And
yeah,
then,
buy them again.
yeah. Well, I think they were going to, and then the Activision thing came up, and obviously, no offense to Destiny, but Call of Duty is way bigger than Destiny, and like all of Activision Blizzard's IP together is bigger than what Bungie has to offer. As much as I prefer Destiny over Overwatch and Call of Duty and stuff, like, it's clear, right? And they clearly paid for it also. But on top of that, Sony has what Microsoft couldn't offer in terms of TV and movie production if they wanted to go that route. So,
and that's the only benefit I would see to them kind of staying for them, is that, you know, they're staying multi-platform in terms of video game service. So yeah, all future expansions of Destiny will be pushed to other platforms like, you know, Xbox and Sony and PC and whatever like that. I know I hear they're working on a new IP. Bungie is
two.
So
actually.
I would not be two. Okay. I would not be surprised if those became exclusive.
They're not. They already have confirmed that the two games that are in development right now are multi-platform.
I don't believe it. I don't believe that. I don't believe Sony would, you know, like I said, Sony's a business, and obviously they didn't buy, you know, a company like Sony doesn't buy a studio like this just for them to make games for the competitors, for the other systems. And, you know, I've read all the comments of them saying like, oh yeah, you know, like they're going to stay multi-platform. I mean, Phil Spencer said the same shit about Call of Duty. And, you know, even the future is murky on that in terms of after the next two installments of Call of Duty, what's going to happen next. So I think from a business standpoint, I think Sony's going to change their tune. They're going to think about it, and they're going to be like, we want these exclusive to Sony platforms.
Yeah. Here's the quote from Pete Parsons and Jim Ryan. The first thing to say unequivocally is that Bungie will stay an independent multi-platform studio and publisher. This is what Jim Ryan said. Pete Parsons and I have spoken about many things over recent months, and this was one of the first and actually easiest and most straightforward conclusions we reached together. Everybody wants the extremely large Destiny community, whatever platform they're on, to be able to continue to enjoy Destiny 2 experiences, and that approach will apply to future Bungie releases. That is unequivocal. I mean, I get things could change in like 5-10 years, right? Like,
yeah,
I know they have kind of like a 5-year plan for Destiny right now, right? And that's going to be, you know, multi-platform. Matter, which is their new IP, their one new IP. It's like I think it's like a hero multiplayer shooter in the vein of Overwatch.
Okay, is
multi-platform. They also have that big investment from NetEase to create something that's multi-platform. So, like, those three will probably, unless Sony buys out Matter at some point, right, which I could actually see being a Sony property because, like, nobody really knows what it is yet. That's the one I could see being like, okay, well, that's going to be a Sony multiplayer game for them, which is fine. Like, I would be okay with that because, like, I like Bungie a lot. Like, I really love Halo and I really love Destiny, but I'm a fan of those universes. I'm not like a, you know, Bungie hardcore fan and be like, oh, you know. So,
yeah, I mean, like I said, I still, Bungie being kind of independent is the best case scenario here because they have been fiercely independent ever since, you know, leaving Microsoft to do their own thing, getting picked up by Activision, and then ultimately leaving Activision themselves because, you know, Destiny 2 was a turning point for them where they took the mistakes they learned from the first Destiny, doubled down, and really made Destiny 2 a great game and something with longevity and staying power. Like, it's the fact that it's been a full service game with still more content 5-6 years after its release is still amazing. And Sony obviously sees that as potential for, you know, a really good, live service game engine.
It's really the only one outside of like Fortnite, which I don't even really kind of count as this in the same vein as Destiny, right? Like, I mean,
yeah,
how many games have come out and been like a Destiny like that have just fallen off, right? The Division, right? Like, I think the Division,
basically almost every Ubisoft game.
yeah, the Division, Ghost Recon, Avengers, right? Like the Avengers couldn't stick the landing, right? I mean that's Marvel's a huge property, and like that couldn't even stick the landing. And so, like you said, I think Sony sees like the consistency and the longevity of Destiny as something that they can utilize in the future for them.
Yeah, and I wonder if Sony knew that Microsoft was on the door.
Yeah.
On their door, and I think they came in and swooped it up. I mean, obviously this wasn't a knee-jerk reaction to Microsoft announcing that they picked up Activision because this deal was probably months in the making.
Yeah, they started talking last summer, I think they said.
Yeah, last summer, yeah. So it was just kind of like the timing of the announcement. Like, obviously, our investors need to know and understand what's our response to this, and of course, naturally, bam, this is our response.
Yeah.
Is it as big as what we thought earlier of like maybe having Sony pick up Capcom or Konami? No, but from what Jeff Keighley says, there may be more on the horizon.
Yeah, and I mean, as someone who like doesn't really care about these acquisitions and whatever, I do have to say this one kind of was like a surprise, and I don't want to say it hurt. Because like I don't own Microsoft or Xbox or no stake in Halo whatsoever or anything. Right. But like, just as a fan of the platform, seeing like the company that basically built your platform is now playing for the other team was kind of like, oh man, my heart would have definitely traded the Activision stuff for this company, right? Just as a fan of Destiny and Halo, but good for Sony. I hope they create something other than a third-person over-the-shoulder action game.
Right, yeah.
Not to, like, keep beating that drum, but, like... And as great as Sony games are, right? Like, Uncharted's amazing, and Horizon and God of War are, like, some of my favorite games of all time, but, like, they're all third-person action games, Well,
that's what sells.
Yeah.
Single-player games, that's what sells right now.
Yeah.
It used to be first-person shooters, but now they've since moved on.
Yeah. So... but man, $3.6 billion. I know Bungie's has already expanded their hiring, so it's great.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. All right, Stoy, we're gonna move on from this acquisition story to the other way around, I guess, in a not so big way, but still. MLB The Show will debut on Xbox Game Pass for the second year in a row.
That's kind of crazy how a sports title is coming to Game Pass like on day one.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool though. Like, I mean, MLB is a big deal. Like, that's I mean, it's the only. I mean, I guess Madden's the only football, and NBA 2K is really the only NBA game. But it's cool that this is kind of different because of the whole Sony San Diego development thing. I guess is kind of like. It just hits different for some reason,
and this is where I wonder, like, how the hell this could happen, like, how Sony could be okay with this.
Well, I think it's the Major League Baseball. What happened was Sony's contract was up with Major League Baseball, and I think the only way they could renew the contract is if they agreed to go multi-platform. And this is a big deal for them, right? Like, MLB The Show is quietly one of their best-selling games every year.
Yeah, it really is. It's arguably the best baseball game right now.
Yeah,
to date.
I don't know, man.
RBI
Baseball for Switch is great.
FIFA is doing that with they're with EA now, where they're like, listen, we know like you have a monopoly on all FIFA games, but we're looking at other options to kind of explore with other developers to make good soccer games.
Yeah,
which I hope pans out because FIFA's been the exact same for the last like 5-7 years.
Yeah. Well, isn't FIFA asking for like triple the money that this original contract was?
Yeah, and I think they're doing that on purpose because they want to make it impossible for EA to buy that again.
Yeah. And EA already trademarked the name EA Football Club. Which would be probably the game that they go to after, like, if they don't re-sign with FIFA, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they could re-sign with. I don't know what the contingency of the. Like, I imagine they tripled the price because they want exclusivity to the teams, the names, the likenesses, and everything.
Yeah, But can't they just go to each of the clubs and just say, hey, we'll pay you X amount to use the likenesses and your players, right?
See, and that was what Project Evolution Soccer got away with all the time, because Project Evolution Soccer for years had the Champions League license with the United European Football Association. Mm-hmm. So if there were teams that were in the Champions League, they were in this game. So you could have Manchester United, you could have Juventus, you could have Barcelona and all these other teams, and they could get away with that as opposed to having some of the other teams in the English Premier League or Italian Serie A.
Yeah.
So it's just it's such a murky mess.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, EA. I mean, as much as I hate to admit it, EA knows what they're doing in the sports space, at least in terms of making money.
But they need to, and instead of, and this is kind of goes against what a lot of times we've been talking about with studio acquisitions and everything like that. Like sometimes that could hurt the video game development world because, EA Sports has been known to not really innovate the sporting games in the last few years. Mm-hmm. That it's always been just either roster refreshes or, maybe small little bumps here and there. But, they need to be challenged. They need to know that someone is behind them catching up. So that means they need to push their innovation, or they need to push their, hard work and trying to kind of provide something new for the fans to get them to keep coming back to them as opposed to their competitors.
Right. Yeah.
Bring back the EA Sports of old when, they were competing with other people.
Yeah.
I know they're soccer developers or football developers even.
Yeah. And, I mean, that's the one thing I think MLB has always done is, not only iterate, but they've also innovated in a lot of ways. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but you can't say they haven't at least tried,
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
go ahead.
Do any other developers make baseball games now?
I mean, RBI Baseball exists, which is
that's always the kind of arcadey, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, there was MLB 2K for a while, but
yeah.
I mean, the show was just blowing them out of the water so much that, and plus, I think the MLB, when the contract came up to kind of license out the MLB to 2K, I just think 2K wanted to not pay as much money, and MLB wanted too much money, and kind of the thing that EA is going through with FIFA right now in a way,
right?
And so they just didn't renew the license because they're like, why not? I mean, like, why would we go through that?
Mm-hmm.
Also,
I think it really is the show. That's it.
Yeah.
You got RBI Baseball. That's kind of more the arcadey part of it. And
yeah.
There was MLB 2K for a while, and I think the last one was 2K13.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think EA has been developing a baseball game for a little bit, but I don't know if that's going to go anywhere, right? I mean, they're always probably trying to do something.
Yeah, right.
But never say never. NCAA football is coming back.
Yeah, I mean, it's never too late for anything.
EA Sports College Football. So yeah, that's MLB The Show. I played it last year when it came to Game Pass. It was pretty good. I'm not like a huge baseball fan, but I do like baseball games. I do enjoy, especially Ken Griffey Jr. Baseball on Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
And like Home Run Derby in that game. Oh my gosh, dude. You should just... They turned up the stats for home runs and Home Run Derby, and like if you just hit the ball at all, it would just be a home run.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, you're in there hitting home runs, so you got to be hitting home runs a lot.
Yeah,
it's part of the game, right?
It is.
At least back then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't remember the last time I really played a simulation baseball game. I really can't.
Yeah, I played a little bit of the show last year just because it came to Xbox, and I was like, oh, okay, well, It's Game Pass. I don't have to pay for it. I don't really care about baseball, but it'd be cool to play a little bit. And it's surprisingly intuitive and deep, which is something that a lot of EA Sports games are missing, I think. At least, football and stuff. So,
it's always definitely sounded really good.
Yeah. All right. Stoy, we're gonna hit the wrap up here. Just one story in the wrap up, which it might not even be a wrap up. We might actually have something to talk about here. Grand Theft Auto 6 is officially well into development at Rockstar Games. The next entry to Grand Theft Auto is well into development, according to sources. Not that we didn't already know that, but this is the first time it's been acknowledged by the publisher, Rockstar Games. Not much else is known except for the rumor that the game could be returning to both Vice City and Liberty City.
So the one thing I wondered with my other guys is, do you think they're going to sell the online and the campaign separately?
I don't think so. Well,
because honestly, they did that. They did that with
5. Red Dead. They did it with Red Dead too,
and they did it with Red Dead. Because when 5 came out, the multiplayer, the online portion, didn't come out for like 3 months after.
Mm-hmm.
So when you bought the game, you just bought the campaign.
I think my theory is they're going to sell, if you buy like what the product is, Grand Theft Auto 6,
mm-hmm.
you're going to get a campaign. Like, say you buy like the $60 or $70, the base version. You get the campaign. Right, yeah. You get like an online starter pack,
mm-hmm.
and like it just comes with online, right?
Yeah.
I bet Grand Theft Auto Online 2 or whatever it's called will be like a $10 or $20 package. I think it should be free to play, but
I think it's going to be free to play.
But I just the way they did Red Dead Online.
Mm-hmm.
It was $10 or $20 to play online only, which I get. Yeah. I get Grand Theft Auto is bigger, but like they charge $20 for Red Dead Online. So, I mean, that could be a thing. Maybe it's free to play, but if you buy the $20 online version, you get like the perks that you would get if you bought the $60 package, right?
Yeah.
And then they'll have all their like super duper gangster premium bundles or whatever they're calling them. You know?
And that's where I think they're going to go because, making people, I mean, they understand the market of like making people kind of spend another $70 for maybe just a multiplayer component that some people think like, well, I could just continue playing Grand Theft Auto 5,
right?
Multiplayer and be fine with that. So they want to get those people to jump to the next generation, to jump to the next iteration. And I really think it's going to come down to them just like giving away the online portion for free, microtransaction the hell out of them, getting them shark credit cards or whatever.
Yeah.
Like they do with this one.
Yeah.
Which for some reason people will be more willing to spend that than just spending $70 all up front and getting a full game right away. But I mean, that's me.
Yeah, but that also gives you a taste of the game, right? Like the free to play aspect is like, that's how a lot of people think, unfortunately, is like, oh, well, you can, that's how, remember when Hitman was first coming out and they released the first episode for free?
And then everything else was episodic format, and you have to pay extra for them all,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you remember online passes for used games?
Yeah, I do. $10 to play online.
$10 to play online if you bought it used?
Yeah. Woo. Or you could be like me and buy a brand new game, and the code was not in the box, so you couldn't redeem it, and then you had to sit on customer support, and they didn't believe me because I was like a 13 or 14-year-old kid, and they thought I was trying to like scam them or something.
Mm-hmm.
So that was fun.
Oh, I bet you that was fun.
Jeez. I forget what game it was, but I was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? It was something like Madden, I think, or NBA Live or something like that.
Okay.
I was so mad.
That's messed up.
Yeah.
Poor little Corey.
I know. I had to spend $10 extra to play Madden online. Jerks.
Yeah. I can't even work.
My other thought was, though, that GTA Online is going to be like a continued thing, right? Like, obviously, GTA Online is going to be San Andreas, but if you want the 2 new locations, you need to upgrade.
Yeah.
That was my other thought, too.
I could see them keeping the current ecosystem alive with the new version.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I can totally see them doing that.
Yeah, and like maybe if you get the newer version, maybe it's like a weird graphical upgrade or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like maybe it's just a nice.
Well, the PS5 and Series X versions are coming out in a month.
I know.
March 15th, I think, or something.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm just wondering if, like, I don't know, because, like, GTA is, like, don't get me wrong, it still looks good, but it's a 360 game. I mean,
yeah,
it's an Xbox 360 game with, like, a few extra bells and whistles, and obviously ray tracing is coming with the new versions, right? But, like, it's still an Xbox 360 game at its core.
Yep.
And so I wonder...
With 360 mechanics,
Yeah,
360 physics.
Yeah, I know.
All that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Terrible cover system still.
Yeah, still.
Dude, the cover system in GTA is bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's always been pretty rough.
Yeah. Oh man. I almost bought it because it's $15 right now on sale. I was like, I don't know.
Don't do it.
I know I'm not. I know how I feel about GTA.
Do you think they're gonna have a $10 upgrade?
No.
Or do you think they're gonna make you buy the whole game?
I doubt it. I don't know. I don't think they're gonna do anything.
I think they're gonna make you buy the whole game. I don't think they're gonna give you like a $10 upgrade.
You don't think you think they're gonna make you repurchase the entire game?
Yes, I think they are gonna make you. Man, it sounds like I really have a low opinion on Rockstar games, but I really think they are. I mean, they're sitting on a cash cow, and people are gonna spend the money.
How many people have purchased this game already? You're really gonna charge again?
I think they'll do it. I really think they will.
I mean, to be fair, I could see it going either way, to where, like, this game sold so many copies that the people who have at least bought the Xbox One version are going to get the Series X version. Or, this is a brand new SKU, $70. Boom.
Yeah.
Saves don't transfer either.
Nope. You can't do it unless you sign into the Rockstar Social Club app or whatever it is. Well, there were some games that did not give you the chance to upgrade.
I know.
I mean, that are currently sitting right now. Judgment was one, for example, where I had the PS4 version, and then they released the PS5 upgrade, and they gave you no opportunity to upgrade. You had to buy the whole game over again.
Right.
I mean, I did it because I'm a chump and I'm an idiot, but I had to pay $40 for a game I already had.
You did. That's where, like, man, I love smart delivery, but it just makes you forget that not everybody supports it.
Yeah, you have to really kind of read the back of the box.
Yeah. And you know what game doesn't support it, but if you buy the Xbox, if you buy the whatever version, you just get both versions, is Tales of Arise. So, like,
oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, like, they don't support smart delivery, but if you buy it, you get both versions.
Oh, okay.
Which is weird because they're two separate clients.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't know, man. It's weird. It's so weird.
Yeah. It's hard to keep up now, and I think I was talking to Stephanie about it one episode where I said you got to really read the box. You got to really read for keywords like smart delivery, or if the title says Series X first, then that's the version that you want to get, because if you want to take advantage of those upgrades or whatever, or even I think like a note on the box if it says ray tracing on it. Yeah. Then it's like for a fact that's a Series X copy. So
it's crazy. I just am like, I mean, to be fair, like, indie games, like, it kind of really doesn't matter, really.
Yeah.
But then we're going to be to that point in like a year where, like, that shit's not even going to matter, It's just not. And I mean, I know there's like a big stink on PlayStation 5 right now too, where, like, $10 upgrades or whatever, right? And it's like, I get it at launch initially, right? Like, that sucks for players who are buying into the like, the hardcore players still have to pay you more money, but, like, the vast majority of people buying these consoles, oh my gosh, what just happened?
Your screen just flashed. It looks like I saw your face.
Yeah, everything just kind of, like, my second monitor just turned off.
Weird.
Yeah. Huh. Anyways, I guess I'll finish this.
Finish the thought, yeah.
Wow. Anyways, can I turn it back on? What's happening, Stoy? Something.
I don't know, man.
My entire setup just, like, started crying a little bit. But, like, anyways, yeah, hopefully this fixes it. If not, well then whatever. When the vast majority of people are going to go buy these consoles at the store, right? This shit's not going to matter, and everybody's just going to be fine, and nobody's going to think about the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One anymore.
I can't wait to that point.
I know. I mean, to be fair,
stop having to think about it.
Up to this point, I haven't had any issues really, except for Tales of Arise. I had and that wasn't even really an issue. I just had to click the box that said Xbox Series X.
I only had one issue when I bought the Rims motorcycle racing game.
Yeah.
And I thought I was buying. I thought this had smart delivery, and I didn't look at the back of the box. And of course, it didn't, because I'm like playing this on a Series X, and I'm like, why does this game look like garbage? Why is this game not playing in 60 frames a second? What the hell?
Right.
And then, of course, I read about it, and I was like, oh, I bought the Xbox One version, so with no smart delivery, and I had to buy the whole game just to get. So you got to pay attention.
Sorry, bro. Man, this really sucks. My second monitor just kind of pooped out on me. It's okay. It's okay. I can manage. I can do this in one tiny 27-inch screen.
Poor Corey.
I know.
Us plebs that are using just laptops and one monitor.
I know. Gosh. I'm slumming it down here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, GTA. Cool. Not a surprise. Let's get into our next segment. Pass it on, Stoy. What's coming to Xbox Game Pass this week?
So, as far as we know, a lot of the big games drop on the 10th.
Yeah.
There's a game called Besiege, and it's apparently just like a demo or a game preview. It's you're basically building tanks and war machines, and you're basically destroying fortresses and castles and stuff like that. So I imagine it sounds like it's a kind of RTS strategy like game.
Mm-hmm.
But and then Crossfire X, which comes out February 10th. This is on Game Pass. So what you get with this is you get the first campaign mission, the first campaign of Crossfire X. So apparently there's supposed to be two. If you want to get access to both on launch, you have to actually buy the campaign separately, which from what I hear, if you're a Game Pass subscriber, it's $25.
Yeah.
So
it's $25, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. But otherwise, you could get this first campaign, and I don't know how long it is at this point. I suppose I could have found out, but and the multiplayer. So that's what you're getting.
Yeah.
So that's coming out on Game Pass February 10th. Also on February 10th is Edge of Eternity. This one kind of snuck up on me because I'm a big fan of some of the old school 360 PS3 era JRPGs, and this looks right up my alley.
Dude, this reminds me so much of Lost Odyssey.
Yeah, it's like Lost Odyssey meets Last Remnant.
Yeah.
Because I think Last Remnant had that where because this sometimes can be grid-based.
Yeah.
Once you get into the turn-based combat.
Yeah.
You can actually position your allies on the battlefield, or when you're attacking enemies, so you could flank enemies from the side or attack them from behind. So, and it's got kind of like the classical like Japanese storytelling and character development and everything. So.
Yeah. It's I'm excited. I'm really excited for that game. I have to tell you.
Yeah.
Really, really excited.
I really am too. So it's going to be kind of, man. I'm going to hate this week so much.
You'll be fine.
You got Skull, the Hero Slayer. It's a fast-paced action roguelite where losing your head is encouraged. So I don't know how to describe that, but I think this game has been out for a while. And I think it's finally, I think it, because I've heard of this game. So I don't know if it's maybe just like a day one thing or if the game's been out for a while. So
I don't know.
But yeah, it's like kind of like a side-scrolling action roguelike game. So also on the 10th, The Last Kids on Earth. This is a semi-open world action RPG where you're fighting hordes of zombies and monsters. I think we've heard of this game before, hundreds and hundreds of times.
Yeah.
So
a few times.
Yeah. But apparently I missed a part of the title. The Last Kids on Earth and the Staff of Doom.
The Staff of Doom.
You'll explore zombie-infested streets on your quest to stop Melandra, a powerful adversary, from obtaining the Staff of Doom.
Wasn't there an Indiana Jones game called Staff of Doom?
Yeah, something like that. I think it was for the PlayStation 2.
It was like PS2 and Wii, I think.
Yeah. Forget.
Staff of something. Emperor's Staff of the Emperor. I don't know. Sorry. Indiana Jones. On the mind.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what's coming out this week. It's a big week. So
yeah. I mean, Edge of Eternity, I think, is clearly the pick for me. Although Skull is really interesting, although the roguelike aspect is out.
Yeah, I know. It's one of those things. Even because Sifu is coming out. How does Stephanie pronounce it?
Sifu.
Sifu. Okay, got it. Because
that's
She kind of made sense because in Japanese it means something different, in Chinese it means something totally different as well. But so yeah, that's that game's coming out this week. And then Crossfire X I really want to get into because I really want to get into a good like first person shooter campaign. And then Edge of Eternity, and then I got Dying Light 2 that I'm playing right now. And then next week I got to look forward to freaking Horizon Zero Dawn. Oh my god.
Your wallet hurts, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
This is why I don't have a PlayStation.
Thankfully, I have Game Pass.
Yeah.
Because at the very least, 2 of these games I could just play for free.
You can play for free, sort of, with your subscription to Game Pass.
Well, it's $15 a month, so it's not bad. I'm not complaining.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's what's coming out this week.
Great. Neat. All right. Well, Stoy.
Oh, snap. You want to talk? Oh, no. Well, I suppose we could talk about that next week, about what's leaving.
What's leaving?
Yeah, what's leaving.
What's leaving Game Pass? Tell me.
Control is leaving.
Yeah, but it's not the good version of Control, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's not the Series X version, that was the other thing.
I wonder if that'll end up coming, the Series X version, when this is done.
Maybe. Code Vein, that's leaving as well. That was kind of like an action, kind of like a turn-based RPG, Japanese RPG.
Man,
Final Fantasy 12. Final Fantasy 12. The biggest one for me is the Medium. That one's leaving. But I think I may want to scoop this up as a physical copy on PlayStation 5. So, Project Winter and the Falconeer, those are leaving as well. Those are leaving on February 15th. So you can scoop those up. You could buy them right now for a 25% discount, and I think you got at least 3 months.
Yeah. By the way, Code Vein right now, since it's leaving in a couple days, is $11.99 on sale. So
that's not bad.
If you want to,
not bad.
I'm thinking about it because I wanted to play it and I never did.
Yeah.
That and Scarlet Nexus were 2 games that came around the same time, and I wanted to play it, and I just have not gotten around to it.
Yeah, and Scarlet Nexus is on Game Pass, and it's a pretty decent game.
Yeah. Man, I kind of... You know what? I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to be that guy right now, Stoy.
You're going to buy it?
It's $12.
Yeah, do it.
What are you spending $12 on, Stoy?
I'm probably going to spend $12 on that. I'm going to have to try to remember to get on my Xbox after we're done here.
Yeah. I don't care if there's not enough internal space. I don't want to install it. I just want to add it to my library, bro. I hate that like the game automatically starts downloading. That's the one thing I wish you could turn off. Phil, please, just give me the prompt that asks me if I want to install it now.
Yeah.
That's it.
Simple. Go to go back to library or install. Put those 2 buttons in there.
Yeah.
Can't be that hard.
Yeah.
There's got to be some programmer in Microsoft that can do that.
Yeah. Install. Don't install.
Yeah.
Or don't even just install it. Make me just go to my library and install it.
Yeah.
That could work too. Anyways. Stoy, speaking of installing things, I know we talked about this a couple weeks ago, but I feel like this really changes a lot of things. And especially with Microsoft and Sony both saying they're not done with acquisitions, which kind of scares me a little bit, but not really. It just kind of like...
Yeah, and Jeff Keighley kind of followed it up after the whole Bungie announcement. He kind of came out with a tweet to say the acquisitions this year are not done. Like there's still going to be more on the horizon, and it's one of those things. Some of them will shock you.
Yeah. Will they? I mean, will they?
I mean, even the ones we talked about, would still kind of shock. Like one of the biggest ones for me would be Sony scooping up Capcom.
Yeah. I think Sony.
Shock.
I think Sony's going after Konami.
It would make sense.
That's my thing.
I would love for Microsoft to go for Konami.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I really think they would do those games justice. The games in the universe, like Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania, Silent Hill, those Contra.
God,
I would love a really good.
Contra could just be a Gears. It could just be a Gears clone,
dude. It could totally be like, dude. There was some really good. There was that banging Contra Shattered Soldier. That was the best Contra's been in this current generation. I mean, ever since the Nintendo Super Nintendo days. The peak was Shattered Soldier.
Which one was that?
That was on the PlayStation 2 with the rip roaring like heavy metal soundtrack by Akira Yamaoka, the guy that did Silent Hill. Dude, that game was so good. So good. And that's the best the series has been.
I don't remember that at all.
My man, you need to pick that game up.
You said it's on
PlayStation
Xbox?
2? No, it's a PlayStation 2 exclusive.
Oh, well,
yeah.
I'm not unplugging. I'm not plugging my PlayStation. I'm not finding a adapter. Okay. I'm not getting these SCART cables out. Okay.
All you got to do is buy a PS3 60 gig fat console. Those are going for like $300.
Yeah, I don't.
Those are the only ones that are backwards compatible all the way.
I paid less for that for my PS3 new. I'm not going to pay that for that.
No kidding.
Man, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like, as much as I would love to see something like Metal Gear on Xbox, like, I feel like Castlevania is so intrinsically tied to like Nintendo and Sony that it just doesn't like. I mean, Symphony of the Night was obviously one of the biggest Xbox Live Arcade games when Arcade launched, right? Because like that was such a big deal that it made its way to Xbox. But at the same time, I just like, I'm trying to. I just feel like I relate certain franchises to certain consoles at this point. You know,
I wonder if it's better. If it's better to just buy the licenses to franchises.
Well, that's where I thought all this was going, right? Where like Sony was like gobbling up the license to Final Fantasy, apparently, you know, and you know, paying Square to keep them off of Xbox and you know, that kind of thing. And when Xbox did that with Tomb Raider and clearly failed at that.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
Not only failed at the marketing, but also nobody liked the box, and they released it on the same day as Fallout 4. That was smart. Real smart. Yeah. But like, with these acquisitions, man, this is just, it's getting so crazy. It's so crazy out there right now.
Sometimes I think, a lot of times I think it's kind of good for the industry, because then that means that you get a bevy of studios that are finally getting the financial backing to make the games that they want. You know, because you have like a good publishing arm behind them, which is kind of key in a lot of these developers to make the games that they want to make. And you know, that was one of the nice things about Microsoft is like Microsoft's dedicated, hey, make the game that you want to make, and we got your back 100%.
Yeah, and I agree with that 100%, especially for studios like Double Fine and Obsidian and Exile, who are like kind of finding themselves in, you know, financial trouble, or like really struggling to get their games to like a broader market or whatever. Yeah, that kind of stuff makes sense. But like acquiring Activision and Bungie, like these studios are, you know, I get like obviously Activision is in a troubling place in other ways, but like,
yeah, right.
These studios are so financially capable to do things themselves, you know?
Yeah, I know. And it's just a matter of, you know, you need to have a steady flow of income. And with development time taking so long nowadays,
yeah,
you know, we're talking years and years. I mean, they need that steady flow of income.
I mean, and maybe that's the problem too, right? Where like And I think Sony does this better than anybody of creating like a solid $60 experience that's 10 to 15 hours long and really delivering a great experience. And that's, as much as I love Halo Infinite and Forza, right? Microsoft has yet to do that except for Gears, right? Gears is the only one that they deliver a solid single player experience. And even then, like, I still feel like Gears 4 was a little long. Gears 5 was a little long. They could have tightened it up.
Gears 5 was long, and I really wish that video game developers would know that. And this is my problem with Dying Light 2 nowadays, of them saying like, oh, this game is like 500 hours long. Do they not understand sometimes that could be a deterrent for people? I mean, the Assassin's Creed games, for example, have been getting longer and longer and longer and longer to the point where it becomes so daunting that you stop playing because you know you're never going to see the end of it.
I mean, I've put 70 hours into Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I'm halfway done.
Yeah, I only think I did 70 hours of Assassin's Creed, and I got to one ending, but then I find out, well, there's 2 other endings you have to get at, and it's like, no, I'm not, no, I can't, no.
Yeah, and
70 hours is already too long.
And as much as I loved Assassin's Creed Odyssey, like, I love that game. It's one of my, I would say it's one of my favorite games of last generation, like top 5, easy. But you can still only take so much, you know, like it's just so grueling.
Video game developers do not respect my time.
No, we talked about it earlier. The game that does this the best is Uncharted Lost Legacy. It is a solid 8 to 10 hour experience, $40. I will take one of those every 18 months over something that's like 100 hours every 5 years.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't see that happening because I see the push of games as a service being kind of on the forefront now. And obviously we see that with Sony doubling down with acquiring Bungie.
Right.
You know, like kind of like how you said the complaints about Destiny 2 is that they're taking away so many good story campaign elements that that even new players will never get to experience ever again.
Yeah, they won't, and it sucks because like the Red War campaign, which is like the launch campaign, was really, really good. It was really a really solid introduction to the universe if you never played before. Forsaken's campaign was awesome. It's probably the best story they've ever told in a campaign, I would say. Like a main campaign. Beyond Light's seasonal campaigns the story was really good in those as well. But like there's story campaign, like there's campaigns that just go away and it sucks. Like it really sucks. And they don't even have like even if they had like here's what you missed in Destiny 2, right? And like section it off by year. Like, okay, here's year 1. Here's the Red War, Curse of Osiris, and Warmind. These were the 3 campaigns that we released this year. Here's what happened. And then Forsaken. Here's what happened. Here's what you missed. Like, you know, even if it wasn't like a video, right? Maybe if it was just like a narrator telling you the story while you're watching the cutscenes or whatever.
Right, yeah.
But
something.
And that sucks.
Yeah. So as far as, you know, kind of going back to the initial question of what companies make sense for Xbox to look at, me personally, I think they should be done.
Oh, I do too. But they said they weren't. So I'm going off the fact that they said they aren't done.
Yeah.
So what?
Me personally, it would make sense for, like I said, going back to what I originally said, is for Sony or for Microsoft to acquire Sega and get a foothold in the Japanese market.
Yeah, they need a Japanese company. Yeah. I don't care what anybody says. They like, okay, yeah, Tango Gameworks, but that I don't even really count that at this point, right? Like that's just. And I know, like, the rumor swirling around is somebody's going to acquire Kojima Productions. Probably going to be Sony.
Probably going to be Sony, yeah. Yeah.
But it's just Microsoft needs that foothold in Japan, and Sega makes the most sense, right? It just even you date it all the way back to the Dreamcast, right? Microsoft has always been friendly with Sega.
Yeah.
Always. And those IP make sense for Game Pass, right? Like you look, they need a kid-friendly IP in Sonic, right? You have, you have popular Japanese franchises like Yakuza and Persona and Shin Megami Tensei. Like, you would get a whole slew of games like that on your platform.
Yep.
And like you could, and Microsoft has no problem with games being multi-platform either, right? Like they've done it before, and that obviously they would pick and choose, right? Like Sonic would maybe be exclusive, or like we'll release Sonic on Switch because we know kids buy a lot of Switches or whatever. But like Yakuza would be a huge franchise for them to have exclusive.
That they could have exclusive, yeah.
So
yeah, Sonic would be a good multi-platform type game, but maybe they have a few, like maybe they're kind of like bigger focused games could be exclusive. I mean, as we know, like not all Sonics released on all the systems. Some Sonics released just exclusively on the Nintendo system, and you know, some Sonics just released exclusively on the PlayStation. So it's you know,
yeah. Sega makes the most sense to me, and they're leaving the arcade business, so they're cheaper now, right? I mean, you don't have to deal with all the Sega Sammy arcade stuff.
Yep.
So I mean, I looked it up when we talked about this the first time. Their net worth is only $3.6 billion, like only. But in Microsoft money, that's like,
that's like chump change.
Yeah, I bought toilet paper today. You know, that's what they're.
Yeah.
That just makes a lot of sense. Plus, they're like Phantasy Star stuff, right? Phantasy Star. They need an MMO. I mean, they just got WoW, I guess, but
they need a third-person, narrative-driven action-adventure espionage game. That's what Microsoft needs.
Yeah, I remember. I think Sega has one of those. Sega have some?
Yeah, they do.
I think so. Right?
So it's like a dormant IP.
Yeah,
that they can bring back.
Yeah.
Trying to think of the name.
It's kind of like a James Bond-esque RPG.
Yeah, and you can like pick and choose how you want to play. Do you want to be kind of sneaky, or do you want to be actiony?
Or do you want to talk your way through things?
I'll think about that.
God, yeah. Then Microsoft would really own Alpha Protocol and just take it. Just give it to me. Give it to me.
Come on,
Jesus.
Once that happens, we're having an emergency podcast just for that.
Yeah, we are. Of course.
Once it gets announced, one of us has to contact the other, like emergency podcast right now.
Yeah, I don't care what you're doing. I don't care if you're changing a diaper. I don't care if you are in the emergency room.
Yep. I'll be on the getting my face stitched up or something like that, and I'm like, emergency podcasts, go. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Man.
But yeah. That makes the most sense. I guess the second option would be Square Enix. I mean, I think you talked about that in the past.
Yeah, I mean, at least the Western Division.
The Western Division stuff.
I still think that Square wants to get rid of their Western Division.
Yeah.
I just, after Avengers and their, Tomb Raider failure.
Yeah.
Their
quote unquote.
12 million units is a failure.
Because what is it? Crystal Dynamics, Eidos, Montreal.
And I think there's a support studio in there.
Okay.
Let me see. Well, it was IO Interactive, but which I also think makes sense for Xbox to acquire, but especially if like Hitman is going to continue to be like episodic or whatever. I think Square's Western Division makes a lot of sense. Western Division, there it is. It's coming. It's coming.
Just hang out.
Let's see. We have. That's their. Let's see. They have Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, Square Enix Montreal.
Okay.
And they have a mobile studio in Square Enix London. So those are their Western studios. They also have a home office in California and in London, which I bet their California office would become part of these other Western divisions. But Yeah, I mean those are three pretty good studios to have. Like I would absolutely love if Microsoft had Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal, right? Like I think obviously Guardians of the Galaxy was awesome. The last Deus Ex games were awesome. The Tomb Raider games are awesome. They're all awesome. I don't care what anybody says about Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Still awesome.
Still good. Yeah.
Like that's an awesome slate of titles, right? And I mean, just by their scores alone, I think Square could get on the higher end if they were to sell it, right? Mm-hmm. And plus, like, you look at all these other studios that they have, and they're so focused on RPGs and Final Fantasy, and you have Tokyo RPG Factory doing, like, I Am Setsuna and Lost Sphere, and then you have the Bravely Default team, and you have all these other, like, the Forspoken team. It's just like, man, there's so many teams that they have that they could easily get rid of their Western Division and just be fine.
Mm.
They'd be smaller, obviously. They have their Dragon Quest teams. They have Final Fantasy 14, which is just making them tons of money.
Oh, yeah. They had to stop selling it for a while.
Right?
Because too many people were jumping in on it.
I know. And I've been wanting to, but I'm like, I want it to come to Xbox, and I just don't think it is. Mm-hmm. I've been wanting to play it, and I don't want to play it on PC, and I'm not going to buy a PlayStation for a while. So I'm waiting. I've decided to wait on a PlayStation until it becomes smaller.
Oh, okay.
I mean, yeah, I want to play Final Fantasy 16 and I want to play God of War and Horizon, but like, I'm not gonna buy a console for 3 games. You know, I can't justify it at this point in my life. 2 kids and a wife, and same for a house. It's just,
I feel you.
Although, and the amount of money I've spent on game sales in the last 3 months, I probably could have bought one. So.
You're buying some right now as we speak, for crying out loud.
I did. You're right. I did.
Yeah.
I can't help it, man. They're so cheap.
Be like that.
They're so cheap, man. Even games I don't want, they're so cheap. Monopoly is $4.99. Monopoly is $4.99. Come on.
Nah, even that's not worth it.
But it's Monopoly, dude. Rayman 3 HD is $2.49, dude. Rainbow Six Vegas 2 is $5.99.
Yeah, there's a Ubisoft sale going on, I think, now.
There is. I'm literally in the Ubisoft publisher sale.
Mm-hmm.
Riders Republic Ultimate Edition is $59.99, guys. Come on, get on that. Get on that.
Get on that. No one's buying that game.
Yeah. Man. The Division 2 multi-pack is $10.
Oh, jeez. Selling you 2 games for $10.
God. Oh my gosh, get me out of here. That weird Elijah Wood transference game is $6. Wheel of Fortune Stoy. It's $8.
I don't know why you play a board game or a game show video game. It just doesn't make sense.
I don't know, man. I'm just saying, like, whatever. I think IO Interactive makes sense for Xbox because I know they're trying to publish that Project Dragon game. Obviously, Hitman is on Game Pass, and like Phil has always talked about how episodic games kind of work on Game Pass, right? And I think if they want to do something like that with whatever future games they're working on, maybe it's not Hitman, but maybe it's something, like a new IP or something that would really make sense.
Yeah. It'd be interesting if they brought back Scalebound.
Funny you mentioned that. What's his name? From Platinum. Hold on. I know it, and I lost it. Hideki Kamiya still wants to work with Xbox on something. Mm-hmm.
They could bring that back.
Yeah, he tweeted out. Let's see. Phil said something about. He sent them something. He sent them a gift. Hold on, let me read this whole story. This is at Pure Xbox. Platinum Games, Xbox exclusive Scalebound might have gotten axed in the end, but doesn't appear to have done any damage to the Japanese studio's relationship with Microsoft. Platinum director Hideki Kamiya recently shared a photo of a gift from Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer on behalf of Team Xbox, it's all to celebrate Platinum's opening a new headquarters. And attached to the tweet was a following message from Kamiya. It says, "Thanks, Phil. Let's work together again." And Phil liked the tweet.
Well,
this isn't the first time Platinum has voiced interest in teaming with Phil Spencer again. Back in 2020, Kamiya and the Platinum head Atsushi Inaba said they were still open to a revival of the ambitious action role-playing IP, and even suggested fans send a letter to Phil to ask about it. They also recently, last year, said something about it was their fault for not delivering. It wasn't Microsoft's fault for canceling it. It was theirs because they just couldn't get it together.
Sounds like they couldn't find a direction in that game. So
Platinum would be an interesting purchase for Microsoft.
Yeah, because they've done exclusives for, a lot. They did Astral Chain. That was exclusive to Nintendo. And
yeah,
I think Vanquish, wasn't that PS3 exclusive?
it was on 360.
Oh, it wasn't 360.
Yeah.
Okay.
But still, that was published by
Bayonetta.
Sega, though, I think. Right?
Oh, Bayonetta was multi-platform.
Bayonetta 2 and 3, though.
Yeah.
Nintendo exclusives.
Nintendo exclusives, yeah.
Sega technically owns the IP, though. But, to your point, though, they have no problems working with other companies to make exclusive games, right? And, they're small enough to, not really hinder the industry, but they're big enough to where hardcore fans would be really excited for them to be purchased.
Right.
And, you think of Okami, you think of Bayonetta, you think of Vanquish. Just think of a cool, spin-off Gears game in the style of Vanquish.
Mm-hmm.
If you're playing as
something a little bit more fast-paced.
Yeah, or, something, even new IP at that point. But, Platinum is a cool choice for this.
Yeah. Yeah.
It'd be awesome.
I suppose we'll see. Like I said, I've kind of said my piece on the whole, maybe everybody should stop and just let the developers make the games or buy licenses to certain franchises, but that's up to the developers or the publishers of who owns those properties. If Microsoft would be interested in buying something like Alpha Protocol, it's okay, they would have to petition to Sega to sell the franchise, and and you would think that would be cheaper,
Yeah.
Especially if it's a dormant franchise. It's yeah, fine, take it.
Yeah. Maybe they bring back 2 Human. Yeah.
Yeah. That was I don't think that developer's around anymore, but
they aren't. But that franchise had some interesting ideas, and it just
it did.
Ugh.
It did.
Remember when it used the right stick to attack?
Yeah. That was the thing back then because I think what game was it? Rise to Honor, the Jet Li game for the PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
The right stick was your attack button because you could do multi-directional combat moves. And I think Blade 2 for the PlayStation and Xbox used that as well.
Mm-hmm. And
so that
even God of War, it wasn't a combat thing, but it was still you had to you used it to dodge.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't camera, so
yeah, it definitely wasn't. So, it was a concept that could have worked, but
yeah. So, man, gosh, dude, Platinum is a good choice. Good choice.
Yeah, I just don't see that happening for Microsoft.
Yeah,
I would see them more so going for Nintendo. But Nintendo stated they're not in on this whole buying studios thing.
They've already said, man, we're gonna do our own thing because
Nintendo. which is nothing.
Yeah. That also reminds me, I know Phil Spencer has expressed interest in Team Ninja and Koei Tecmo.
Yeah, they did a lot of Dead or Alive,
Ninja Gaiden.
Those are Microsoft exclusives for a short period of time.
Every single Dynasty Warriors game.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think they need something like that in their repertoire, whether it's I mean, obviously it hits a Japanese market, but also like the action, like the stylus action games and that kind of a game that appeals to that audience would go a long way, I think.
Right. Yeah.
But
So, who knows?
Who knows?
World's their oysters, I guess.
Yeah, I guess when you're throwing around billions of dollars, you can buy whatever you want.
Like nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm sitting here wondering if I should buy another game for $5. Speaking of $5, Stoy, that's going to wrap this episode. Really has nothing to do with $5.
I was gonna say what? Okay,
Nope.
sure.
No. Episode's still free, guys.
Don't need to pay $5 to listen to this.
Nope. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening to Arsenal X the Xbox podcast. Thank you for listening. Remember, if you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, to give us a 5-star review. Stoy, I appreciate your time tonight. Where can we find you?
I am also part of the EXP Cast, a video game podcast on the Boss Rush Network. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at EXPcast, and my personal Twitter and Instagram at Stoy, MKE8.
Nice. You can find me at I am Corey HC on Twitter and Instagram. You can find me hosting the Boss Rush podcast, Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast, and Standard Definition, and other things floating around here on the Boss Rush Network. Check out our website, bossrush.net. Thank everybody for watching and or listening. Like, subscribe, share, rate, and review wherever you listen, and we will see you next week. Goodbye, everybody.
Laters.
Laters?
Laters.
Like now on laters? Like the candy?
No, laters.
What's the matter? You hurt? Hey, bro.